What's up, y'all? You know
What's
what
up,
time
everybody?
it is. It's about to be that time.
We're here. It's time. One Piece 1110. Let's get into the reaction. And then we'll get into the discussion. Here we go. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're feeling the vibe. We are back from break. We are here. It's time for chapter 1110. The last chapter was crazy, maybe even a little bit divisive because people weren't expecting to get stalled. But hey, you know what? I'm all for this. If we're going to stall anything, let it be the truth of the world. Let everybody get their stuff ready so that we can see exactly what this means. So, will we see more decks of the world? Are the Gorosei actually coming? Is that what's happening here with those summoning circles? I believe so. Okay, last week was pizza time. Will it be a different time? What time will Luffy actually be on this week? All right, anyway, let's get into it. This is my reaction to 1110.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Okay, so the cover story will get into the particulars of Yamato and Momonosuke, which, you know, seemed very likely with the fact that we're at Wano to begin with. All right, so I think we're going to see Yamato's adventures through Wano before deciding to go out into the world, I guess. Moving on to the first actual page. All right, so we can see the four dark summoning lightning strikes rising up very far into the sky above Egghead, which, you know, is already a big island on its own. Further than all of these ships, we can also see the sea beast that Bluegrass is riding, right? And Doll is there on the back. And let's see here. Okay, then we're getting an actual perspective view from Bluegrass. Random Marines. We're seeing the giants, or the one giant, with Frankie Bonnie, Kuma, and Atlas. It's just basically reactions to the Gorosei arriving. And these fodder Marines, likening it to when Saturn arrived, means very likely that, hey, we're getting them all. Which comes with its own explanations that need to happen, of course. Moving on to the next page. All right, a arrow is being knocked here from one of the giants and obliterating a ship. I like this scale comparison here, because you can see the Mark III standing to a giant, and it goes to show that Buccaneers are basically just one half of a giant, which is actually pretty absurd. All right, so here's Dorian Brogy moving forward with two yet-to-be-named other members of their crew, which will be fun. You know, two new people. You know, are they going to get involved in this? If two random people from the crew are going with them, though, like, they are definitely the ones that are going to get used as a device to show how strong the Gorosei are, though. So, yeah, for those characters, I'm going to have to say this.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
That's Oda's perspective. Anyway, we head over to the Holy Land. Oh, and they are not there. They're not there. Okay. We are hearing the remnants of the transmission from Vegapunk and Shaka. They are still talking about coffee. Okay. Next page. All right. We still have a long ways to go here. We've only had about 3 minutes go by, which is kind of wild. This is a double-page spread where the Gorosei are legitimately forming here. Okay. I do expect one of them to be a bird-like creature, and I think that's going to be Mars. That's the only sort of like prediction I have towards the Gorosei. I'd have to go back to some of the older videos to remember what I think one of them is supposed to be a sheep or something. But that was something I saw on Reddit that I thought was really interesting. But either way, one of them always looked like a bird. But I'm just guessing that one will be Mars. We'll see. Anyway, okay. Sanji is still carrying Vegapunk. All right. So then we got Luffy here, recognizing that he's about to go, 1v5 here. Okay, moving over to the next page of this spread, it's actually giving us what everybody is. Okay, so confirmation that Saturn is a Gyuki, which we've talked about. And note, by the way, that it is not saying a devil fruit here, which what have we also been saying about the Gorosei? That these are real yokai. I think these Oda boxes are telling us that that's what this is. I don't know. I'm gonna let the W's reign, because until otherwise, I don't think we're dealing with devil fruits here. I don't think we're dealing with it. I think this is mythology piece. This is magic piece. All right. So we got Mars, looking like some sort of a dragon. I've got to definitely look into what the Itsumade is. I don't know what that is, but that does look bird-like. So, or lizard-like. We'll have to see. I'm not gonna rain W's yet. Top Man Warcury looks like a giant pig, which, if I remember correctly, was something that someone was leaning towards. Okay. Ethan Bear and Venus Juro is the Bakotso, looking like something straight out of Bleach here. This is very fitting, very demon-like, something that I feel is going to work really great when Zoro fights him at some point. And then, wow, this is coming out of nowhere. Jupiter, the Sandworm. Are there any Dune jokes? Have there been any Dune jokes yet? Did Saturn put out the thumper to call Jupiter? I actually do have a button from Dune. I wonder, is this a real yokai, or is this something that is really just referencing Dune? Because this is crazy, like specifically a sandworm. I don't know. All right. God, I just finally saw Dune 2 the other day, so this is like very much on my mind. All right, moving to the next page. Okay, wow. Now here they are in their glory. Look at this double page spread. Oh my god. Oh, wow.
You
Oh. Yup. This is incredible. I knew it. Knew it. I knew they were all going to be things where it's like I said it. I said it at the when 1085 came out. I was like, when we actually see these forms, they are going to be things that we legitimately will need YouTube videos and Google and yokai Wikipedias and all of that. And I'm really excited to like look into and study all of this before the discussion, so that I can come in there with some heat, which has probably already been discussed. But yeah, so we've got Mars is a bird, which has been my like Sanji fight pick, and I feel like an aerial battle between Sanji and Mars is going to really work. We have this pig version of Warcury. Ethan looks like a hell horse of some kind, and I mean, the Jupiter one is the one that's like really left field that I definitely never would have expected, or if I had to, I know for a fact, like if I started looking into things, like I definitely would have said like there would have been like a pig for Warcury or something, that there would be a bird, but Ethan to a degree also, but specifically Jupiter, way left field. Like a sandworm, that is wild. And I love the scale perspective here, seeing Luffy and how small he is compared to all of this. This is Oda at his peak right here. It's phenomenal. Sorry I spent so long on that page, guys, but I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. You know, we gotta sit here and absorb the glory and ascend. Okay, so yeah, Ethan really is a horse. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the next page, guys. Oh, and he is super fast. I think that's what the implication is here. Oh, he is going to destroy this Mark III. Oh, let's go. Next page. Did he split him in half? Look at that sword. Look at him. He's a centaur now. Oh, this is insanity. This is what I missed from One Piece. Like these gigantic, like feel the weight of these panels, moments. Oh, this is sensational. We can actually see the detail on his sword, and it does look very close to the Kitetsu. So I don't know if it was ever confirmed or if it was just a theory that he has the Shodai. But anyway, next page. He is running through them. Oh man, this guy is going to be a problem for Zoro. Oh man. Wow. This is insanity. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Sanji is seeing Mars, which is laying the path for the fight that I'm expecting. Oh, man. Okay. He's telling everybody to get out. Again, real hardcore archipelago vibes now. We feel the danger. We feel it. The other side of this spread. Oh, man. Oh. He is freezing them. That's what's happening. He is bringing the cold of hell. Is that what he's doing? Am I understanding that right? I gotta look up. I really gotta look into these yokai. Okay, Doberman. Just reminding people that he's there. Okay. They're doubling down on getting Bonnie. Okay. Are they implying that the shoreline is freezing a little bit as well? This is insane. This is insane, people. We're in the end game here. Next page. Okay. Mars appears to be flying down into the barrier. There's a large explosion. I imagine that didn't do anything. We had Ethan doing another freezing attack on a Mark III. Okay. Now Jupiter's about to move and do something sandworm related. Okay. Next page here. This is crazy. Like, there's no decks of the world at all. This is like really just showcasing the Gorosei, which is wild. Okay. Jupiter's going underground. Luffy's reacting. Alright. We're catching up with Usopp. He's worried about Zoro and Jinbei. Oh. So the Sunny landed near them. So Brook is there with Lilith. Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting that the ship is unharmed. That's really interesting. I was really like expecting some sort of like damage to be, to happen to the ship, especially the way that they were like building that up. But okay. Okay, we're catching up with Jinbei. Alright, now we're moving on to some Zoro action here. We know that 1111 should be something Zoro related, or, just kind of lean into the mythology of those numbers as well. And there's a lot of different beliefs that go with those numbers, so we'll see what... Either way, I expect something big next chapter, even though this chapter in itself is huge, literally. Did Lucci just knock one of Zoro's swords out of his arm? That's kind of crazy.
You loyal.
Are they going to stop fighting because they're curious about what else is happening? Or are they just going to like mutually say, hey, let's stop fighting and check this out? See what's happening here. Move over to the next side of this page. Lucci's on the offensive. Seems like Zoro was upset by what Sanji said, and might be able to get serious here. Okay, the sword is coming down. Logetown vibes. He's catching it. This is going to be where he finishes Lucci. Okay. This is his one-hit KO finisher on Lucci. This is a nice panel. I like this. Oh, you feel the hockey on those blades. Okay. Alright. The anime is going to definitely make that a meal. Next page. Probably the end of it. Oh wow. I feel like Oda just watched Dune and then was like, okay, I might have had a plan for what this guy was gonna be, but now I want this. Because this is straight out of Dune. Or at least that's what it feels like. Oh man, did he really eat him? Is this Skypiea 2.0? Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. Are Dory and Brogy getting here just in time to chop the head off of Jupiter and recall to Little Garden when they chop the head off of the T-Rex, and then Luffy's going to be able to get out of that? Or no, wait, it wasn't the T-Rex, it was Dory got him out of the Brontosaurus, right? So he got eaten by the Brontosaurus, and then Dory took the head off of that, and then he was able to get out. Is that what's going to happen here? But then, of course, he's going to be able to regenerate everything. Let's see. Page, yep, that is exactly what's happening. Look at that reference. Look at that reference. Luffy, Dory, and Brogy have reunited. Sensational. Sensational. And it seems like they're implying that that they were impatient. And it looks like they're leaning into the prophecy. The prophecy. That there is a prophecy. And with all of these like Dune elements here, it's just kind of doubling down on prophecy talk anyway. Wow. Okay. Okay. That was a full chapter. I feel like I have eaten a sufficient and good meal. Thank you, Oda. Let's discuss this now. All right. Lisan al-Gaib. I gotta have it, people. I gotta have that spice. This is a monumental moment, guys. The highest authority of the world have revealed themselves. They've revealed themselves.
You loyal.
And they may not actually be devil fruit users at all, which we've been saying. this whole thing is insane. I mean, I'm just like I'm feeding into all the Dune stuff because I mean I love the movies and I just saw the second one. So when I said like I really think that I think there was a completely different plan for Jupiter, and then like at some point Oda switched it and was like, wait, I'm in a sci-fi arc, Dune's cool, yeah, I'm doing this, because it's like
loyal.
the sandworm isn't a Japanese yokai, and I know that people have been pointing out. I mean, obviously by the name and everything, the Fengshi is like more Chinese than Japanese yokai. But you know, I went and started looking up some things to kind of come into the chat with at least some knowledge of what these beasts are. And honestly, there's not a lot of stuff on the internet for this. So I'm since you guys have been talking about this for quite some time, I'm excited to see what you guys bring to the table. I think one of the most interesting things that I found, and I'm not going to talk about the Gyuki too much because like I literally did a video on that immediately when Saturn was revealed. So we went into like everything about the Gyuki, and that stuff has all kind of happened. The poison, all this other stuff. But I was able to find a good yokai write-up for the Itsumade, which is one of the ones that I wanted to know the most about because, I mean, hey, the guy's name is Mars, right? So like that's the one. But the translation of the name means until when, which is interesting. But there's also like there's a couple of different ways to interpret the Itsumade. Sometimes it's considered a good thing, and then sometimes it's considered a bad thing. Obviously, I expect Oda to be leaning into the bad side of this, but they say that they normally appear during like the spread of a plague, so that's kind of interesting. But I think the one thing that is most interesting to me is how the Itsumade was defeated. It was defeated by an archer, which may imply that maybe Usopp fights Mars. I still want it to be an aerial battle with Sanji, but it's more so the name of the person, and if it's like a meta thing that Oda could do, because I could see him totally like doing this in some way. But let's see. I'm just reading this here. Let's see. The Imperial Court decided something had to be done about the Itsumade, so they recalled an individual's triumph against the Nue many years earlier, and decided to summon the warrior Oki Hiroari. And Hiroari was an expert archer. He used a signal arrow that let off a loud whistle as it flew, and shot the monster out of the sky. Afterwards, Hiroari was given the name Mayumi, meaning true bow, which I didn't know. And the voice actress for Luffy is Mayumi Tanaka. So I don't know if Oda would do some sort of like meta thing where it's actually Luffy that takes out the Itsumade in a way to like kind of honor Mayumi or something. I don't know if he would go that far, but yeah. And apparently the diet of the Itsumade is the lamentation of the dead, right? Which basically is like fear. And that's what I think really drives and powers these individuals, especially, and it's very interesting that they would appear in chapter 1110 fully, right? When we are legitimately one chapter away from the angelic number 1111. So it's like we're getting the demons here. And then in the next chapter, we are going to see what angels are going to, in quotations, are going to go up against these creatures, whether we win or not. Oda will definitely lean into the 1-1-1-1 of it all, and whether that means that Zoro, with it being his birthday, has a clash with Gandhi, maybe, but I'm actually more on the side of it leaning into those angelic numbers. Maybe this is where Luffy learns that he is Sun God Nika. Maybe that's what 1111 is all about. Thank you for subscribing, Musum. And thanks for all the supers, guys. I'm going to get into it in a minute once I just get my initial thoughts out. Appreciate you guys.
You loyal.
And sometimes, 1111 is like a symbol of like a twin flame or something. So it may imply, like, hypothetically, right, if Shanks appeared or something, like, I would consider that being like a 1111 like twin flame scenario because of the relationship that those two characters have. Not to say that that's actually going to happen, but like that's the kind of big style event that I would expect. Dragon appears, like, I don't know, but either way, this level of danger, and even Sanji like saying, hey, we need to get out of here, like that is saying, like, okay, this is Sabaody all over again, which is what I've wanted. Let's get off this island immediately, regroup, and try and figure out how we're going to beat these guys in the first place. This is insanity, and what an amazing display from
Savage.
the Bakotsu, Ethan, Big E. Shout out to my guy Ty, member for 21 months. We know it's been longer.
Savage.
He said, happy belated birthday to one of the strongest commanders of the Savage crew, Dizza D Ghost. Let's hit that birthday button for the boy. Happy birthday, Dizza. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici said, that Gorosei double spread has such a strong impact that you can totally hear a guitar being shredded. Oh, man. I hear the sound from, what is it, like episode 3 or whatever, where they had the to be continued was actually like a guitar shred on Zoro's introduction. Maybe it wasn't episode 3, whatever. When he was like, I don't know if you guys, most of you guys probably remember, but it's like when he's on the cross and then he like goes up and it's like to be continued, but the guitar shreds. Yeah. Okay, I can do that. Also, I may be looking too deep into it, Vasil said, but is that an antenna in the cover story right next to Momo? Let me take a look back at that. Let's see. An antenna, I mean, I do think you're looking a little too deep into it. I mean, if it was Egghead, I'd say yeah, but that just looks like, the top of a shrine. I don't think that they've immediately gotten that much, technology there. Very motivated said, socks aside before we get upset deep into it. Happy belated B-Day to mi amor, Rizza D Goat. That scientist nerds B-Day was on Pi Day 314. Yeah. Again, shout out. Look at that. And we're seeing it in the chat there too. We'll hit the button again. Shout out to Pavel for the super chat that had no writing in it. But if you had meant to put something there, put it in the chat, and then other people flag it, and I'll try and read it. Alejandro Salas super chatted, said, Afro Brook versus Bald Man Ethan, instant Vega coffee, double page spread of the Gorosei that look bigger than Kaido. This chapter has it all. Oda is cooking. Absolutely.
Someone cooked here.
And that person is Oda. That is the someone who has cooked here. I like, you know, because of the chill of the underworld and all of that, like, it would be interesting, but, and because, you know, they're bones, like, I feel like it would be fun to see an interaction, but it's totally Zoro's opponent, not Brook's, and I don't want to see Brook get fodderized, but, I mean, that's what would happen. Ugh. Shout out to Ace2532 for the big super chat. 50 Bones talking about favorite designs of the Gorosei. Appreciate you, Ace. They said Mars and Venus. The real question is how the Gorosei get back to Barijua after this. Saturn came to Egghead on a ship, but some are the others. Can it work in reverse? It's a great question, because I would love it if it was a thing where Saturn didn't appear there, because they can only teleport if one person is somewhere else. So it's like they were able to teleport there because Saturn was there. There needs to be one physical entity in the place. So from that perspective, they all would have to go back on their own. But then, I don't know, maybe maybe Saturn just wanted a leisurely stroll. Or maybe Oda didn't realize that they could teleport until he got to a certain point and was like, you know, I gotta up the danger. I'm just gonna have them all come. Yeah, we'll just do this. But I would like to think that he had it planned ahead of time. And I'm actually right with you. I think those are my favorite designs as well. I don't know. I gotta give some love to the Dune fan in me now. Like, we got Shai Halud here, okay, and they're going up against Madib D. Luffy here, but the Ethan is like the coolest, the creepiest. Like, it looks like, I mean, I feel like when I look at this panel, I feel like I'm looking at something straight out of Chainsaw Man rather than One Piece. But yeah. I think if I had to like tier list it, I would put like Venus, Mars, and Jupiter at the top, and then I would put Mercury and Saturn like way at the bottom. Like, I don't actually like their designs very much, but hey, you know, we're moving, we're doing it. Brandon King, Superden said the yokai names are revealed in Wano Oda boxes. That's a good catch with the Wanoism of it all. But the thing is like I said, it's not Ushi Ushi no Mi model Gyuki, like so many had suggested. It's just the Gyuki, which is what I was saying. I was like, I think that these are the things that devil fruits are based on. Because otherwise, how do you even get a mythological Nika fruit if there was no Nika? So, in theory, like, there have to be these creatures that just exist, and, you know, now they're controlling the world from the shadows. So it's mythology piece, it's magic piece. Like, whether you like it or not, this is what the story's been leading up to the entire time. Conrad, member chatted with the Tyson Ascension emojis. You know, I'm right with you. I'm right with you. We're there. Evo member chatted, 34 months, said it's been a while, had to join for this absolutely monumental chapter. What a spread, what a time we live in. Luffy-san al-Gaib. Yeah.
Savage.
It feels like a pointless green screen to have because it's literally only 1 second and it's not him saying Lisan Al Gaib, but it's still like the point gets across. Brandon King, member for 22 months, said 22 months, was on a break, so that's why I stepped, but we back as a member. Appreciate you. Jay in his chat kept making Nika Al Gaib Dune jokes with Jupiter. I mean, you have to. You have to. I have a green screen of the Thumper, and I forgot to load it in. So I don't know. That'll be in the analysis. But I needed to be able to hit that. And it's just, it would have just had the Thumper on the side of the screen. Just. DJ BJ32, member for 33 months, said Sub Captain. Great reveals this chapter. They really were. And then shout out to Veronica, who donated before the stream started. Said, "Hey Captain, I need a run after this chapter. Feel like I will need it lots in the future, so I'm calling it an Oda run from now on." And hold on, are they called Devilfords because of the sea or because of these 5? Gorosei look like better explanation of the name. Yeah, I think that the concept of Devilfords comes from the idea that there are actual demon and devils in this world that are hiding in the shadows, and now they are coming to the surface. So I'm right with you there, Veronica. Shout out to Sanj Saab, member for 28 months, who said, Luffy capture theory intensifies. What a showing. I mean, look, I think I brought it back up in the last video that I did, and still got just about as many detractors as I normally do, because there's a lot of people that are just like, he's Gear 5, we're beyond that point in the story, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but what about One Piece is a typical shonen? Like, if this was Dragon Ball or something, and it was just like, yeah, you know, Goku can't get captured, he's Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct now. Yeah, okay, because it's, you know, the archetype shonen. But it's like,
loyal.
Here, I think the message is about inspiring people and what that inspiration can do. So it's like, whether it happens or not, it's still like a pretty decent way of, you know, something that's emblematic of the themes of One Piece, where if Luffy did get captured and everybody in the world came together to free him or whatever, and then in doing so, going back to what I was talking about last week and all that, where it's like, I think their power, like the true power of the world, will come from people knowing that Nika exists and being able to like transfer their haki or their willpower into Nika to make him even more powerful. Kind of think about like the way he got filled with shadows in Thriller Bark, but it would be like this kind of Spirit Bomb-esque, you know, not exactly that, but the idea is similar in that, you know, these Gorosei members are powered by fear. So they are so strong because they are fearsome creatures. Lagoon Out super and said, I think this could be a 2v1. A nod back to Thriller Bark when Brook fought Ryuma first, then Zoro takes over versus Gandhi. See, now that's actually, I would love it if Ethan actually, like, while he was zipping around, ended up pulling up to Nami, Usopp, Chopper, Brook, and Lilith, because then I would feel like intense danger. And if he did something to the Sunny, whoo, man. And then Brook tries to fight him, but then Zoro comes in and starts like defending the Sunny there. That would actually be really fun. That would be fun. Man, that dude was zipping. He was zipping. Emil, member for 34 months, said, none of them had the spade tail we saw at the Reverie. Well, also keep in mind that none of them really look like the thing that was crawling on the wall either, you know? I don't know, unless that's, you know, supposed to it. I am actually convinced at this point that Oda does silhouettes when he is not entirely sure how he wants someone to look. Like, he hasn't, like, completely figured that out yet. So that's why I think in between 1085 and now, Oda was, like, actually finalizing and, like, probably going through a few different iterations of what these creatures could be, and then settled on it for this chapter. So it's like, I don't know if one of them really looked like a sandworm then. I mean, there was one that was like maybe, you know, like the big wide mouth open one, but I don't know. I mean, like, you can look at that spread from 1085 of the Reverie and you could say, like, okay, like, maybe he had, like, the Bakotso figured out and the Itsumade, but then the rest of it kind of gets a little muddied, and it's like, was this all, you know, fully formed yet? And I think, you know, from a writing perspective, it's okay to not have everything fully formed. You know, at a time, you're still trying to work it all out, but, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things to be worked out. But it's also very possible that he had an idea for something that was spade-tailed, and then that changed. And that's okay, too. You know, it's like, how many implications were there that Queen was going to be a scorpion? It was on ships, all this kind of stuff, and then out of nowhere, sorry, Brontosaurus. I still would have preferred Queen to have been a scorpion, because that would have been a more interesting fight. But Oda has definitely, like, made last-minute changes. Double O Flevin said, Mr. 3, no diff the Giants. The Giants took a little off of Jew Pete's top. Yeah. Old Jupe. Alley-oop Jupe. And so it's safe to say that Mr. 3 is stronger than the Gorosei. Need more respect on Galdino's name. Put that on wax. Let's throw those Galdinos in the chat, members. Throw those Galdinos in the chat. We actually have a Galdino emoji. Those Baldinos. Shout out to the Davey Backfight cross guild video. Yeah, so when you're doing your top 30s, your top 50s, everything like that, Mr. 3 needs to be up there. So it's like, and he's got to be above Magellan too, because he, like, you know, combated Magellan. So Magellan should, you know, be roughly in the top 10 as well, because he also no-diffed Blackbeard, right? So it's like, you know, you got to have, like, Blackbeard somewhere in the 10 to 20 range, then Magellan, then all of the Gorosei, then Mr. 3, you know, and then, you know, go on from there. Yeah, exactly. That's on wax. Up, you know, put the Atreides seal on it. Yeah. Luffy's about to say, I am Monkey D. Luffy, Duke of Egghead. Alright. St. Marcus Lem said, praise the sun, Nika al-Gaib, Shai Halud, like D-Stream. Yeah, by the way, look at these likes up, people. Come on.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yup. Yeah. Love seeing those Galdinos in the chat. Chad Ocho, member for 33 months, said, need Zoro and Brook versus Ethan crew 2v1 each Gorosei. Oh, I mean, if that's the case, then I want Sanji and Usopp against Mars. Because then I get what I want, and then the folklore gets what it wants. Okay. Copyright said, what happened to the lo-fi music that used to play in the background? Is the BGM not playing? Yeah, the background music is there. Shout out to Barry. Appreciate you. Said, sorry about the typos. YouTube lags and jumbles the words. I feel like a lot of Marines aren't getting off Egghead now that the Gorosei are here and Bluegrass knows it. I'm interested to see how they can escape. Possibly Smoker. I mean, look. You know I want to see Smoker. I want to see him do something. I mean, that's such a good point to bring up, because it's like, why would they let any of these Marines live? Like, they're just insects to them, and the whole point is to make sure that no one knows about them. The only thing that I could see is, like, if this Vegapunk thing turns into a live stream and the entire world already knows that they exist, then at that point, they might as well just, through fear, keep everybody around until they can do the great cleansing again, and then they'll kill everybody, and then just start off from, you know, from square one. This is said Vivi and Nami versus the Sandworm. Well, you know I need Vivi to go up against Jupiter now. Like, that has to happen. That has to happen. She needs to ride that Sandworm. Like, she needs to send the Peacock Slashers? Peacock Slashers? Oh, come on! It's built for that! It's built for that! Like, we need... I need Vivi to go full Chani, like Peacock Slashers riding around on Shai Halud. Bro. It's about to get spicy. If that happens. Yo. If you haven't seen Dune, people, go see Dune. If you haven't seen Dune, see Dune, okay? The first one's on HBO Max. The second one is in theaters right now. Man. Now I can't stop thinking about that. Like, I need that. I need that. Like, if we're gonna do all of these references, like, oh
shit, here we go again.
Yeah, got me started here. All right. Heartless Fang super chatted and said, with Toriyama's passing, do you think we'll see Oda's themes on Inspiration solidify? On Inspiration specifically as a word, like the way I was talking about how, like, people getting inspired by Nika would give him power in, like, a spirit bomb sense, or do you think we'll see, like, little odes to Dragon Ball or something? I don't know. I think we're supposed to get a color spread next week. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, Toriyama based. You know, like, if it was something that was an ode to Toriyama right there, I could see Oda doing something like that. But Leonardo Martin said Alabasta equals Arrakis. Exactly. And honestly, that may have been an inspiration for parts of Alabasta to begin with. You know, it's like some, you know, when we were doing Kaizoku fan subs and everything, like we went with Arabasta, which is way closer to Arrakis, you know. Let's see. And then Emil said, about time the giant robot wakes up. He's needed. Facts. But they also need to start learning how to walk without rhythm so that they don't attract the worm. So if you don't walk without rhythm, you never learn. Yeah. Brandon said, Randy, now with Toriyama's passing, we need a page of Luffy punching so hard they break through the borders of the manga like Goku did to Yamcha. We need it. I mean, people have been expecting something like that since he went Gear 5 to begin with. And so I'm not, I wouldn't, I think that's just around the corner. Shout out to Benjamin Schutz for the big super there. Appreciate you, buddy. And continuing the channel trend of apologizing for being late. Anybody who arrives here is always on time, though. Sorry I'm late.
It's about to get spicy.
Just came home. Do you think that Ethan uses the same underworld powers to freeze the pacifistas that Brook uses? I do. I think it's the chill of the underworld. It's something very correlated, and I think that, you know, as we get into some of this stuff, like we may even get further explanations for this stuff. We were talking about it earlier, but like, you know, what if Brook, you know, who is Bones, and Ethan, who is Bones, right, both have the chill of the underworld, have some sort of an interaction. Like, what if Ethan zips and he appears in front of the Sunny, and then he has a little bit of a fight with Brook until Zoro can get there, and then the King of Hell can go up against this Hell Beast. But I could see Brook being entirely ineffective because Ethan would just be like the heightened form of whatever he is. Or maybe Ethan could infer that Brook hasn't tapped into whatever his ultimate ability could be or something, you know, like that's the kind of stuff I would love to see, where it's like, oh wow, you know, Brook gets to really show out and tap into something even greater than himself. Also considering that Brook, you know, just like the Gorosei, appeared in a summoning circle at one point in the story as well. So there's definitely some correlations to be made, and I do hope and I expect Oda to deliver on things like that. You know, it's like the same thing, like, you know, when it was Wano and Black Maria was a spider and everything, and Oda was showing a lot of like Brook and Robin together. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a tag team at Thriller Bark with like Talaran. They're gonna fight Black Maria. And then sure enough, you know, like that ended up happening. Here we could get a call back also to Thriller Bark, which was brought up earlier, where Brook and Zoro both fought Ryuma. And this would actually be kind of the you know, it would be emblematic of Ryuma. You know, a Bones, a great swordsman, Black Blade, like that kind of thing. Like, so it's, I don't know, this arc just keeps getting spicier.
It's about to get spicy.
Adamisk, member for 2 months, said Vegapunk's 10 minutes equals Frieza 5 minutes on Namek. Yeah. Yeah, we were already getting the Toriyama inspiration here.
Savage.
But here's the thing. Every arc has had, some element to this. The obvious ones are like the bird cage and things, but I mean, like, you can literally go into every arc and there is some sort of a countdown. Like, you start going into early One Piece, like, countdown, is that Zoro's gonna get executed at the by Morgan. So that's a countdown in itself. Buggy is gonna destroy the town. I don't know, maybe there's not really a countdown there. Is there? Well, I guess the countdown would have been when Nami lit the fuse, but that's, a reach. Sierra Village, you've got a countdown where that they're going to attack in the morning. So you just, it's a literal countdown. The Baratier is actually like a reverse countdown where the countdown is actually that Luffy's journey is being impeded, and that he has to stay there for a year. So it's like, if I do this, can I eliminate the countdown? Then the countdown in Arlong Park is Luffy being underwater, and then all of that and getting to everybody, so on and so forth. Like, it's a trope and it's a trend, but it's something that, like, gets inserted into a lot of stories, specifically One Piece, because it allows Oda to move around and maneuver, different pieces. The bomb in Alabasta. You also had, Crocodile, like, throwing a hourglass, I think 3 minutes. Luffy being in the snake in Skypiea. There's a lot, but this is actually, instead of going through the entire series and finding all of the countdowns, which would, take 20 minutes in itself. But the point here is that this is actually the best version of a countdown that we could get, because it's a defensive countdown, right? We're protecting the message, making sure that it gets out, hopefully. But everybody in the world is setting up their snails and realizing that something important is going to be said. So with that, it's setting up the revolution that is going to come. Leonardo Martin said, Dune really is the inspiration for some of the biggest franchises, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, so I could see it being one for One Piece too. Yeah, I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if Oda was a Dune fan. And it's like, we are in a sci-fi arc, so we've already had the Star Wars elements. So I'm not surprised at all that we're getting Dune elements too. Yeah, it's perfect. Alejandro Salas said Vivi was a centaur on top of Karoo while fighting Zoro, and now Ethan is a centaur, the foreshadowing of 25 years. Oh man, are we saying that that's the math piece for this? Because technically that was, 1,000 chapters ago was Vivi and Zoro's fight. That's funny. Leo said, Ethan is on the Fabio phase on the bottom, not the top. Yeah, but did you see how dude was zipping? I wouldn't be surprised if he could get up top very fast. Anything can happen. Yamil Superden said, Sabo fought and survived alone versus these 5 all at once. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, this is what Sabo went up against. This is what Wapol saw. This is why Wapol looks like he aged 20 years in, like, the last chapter. This is what Cobra saw before he died. Like, this is insanity, right? But this is also, like, the cool layer of that is both of the brothers here have faced this now. And Sabo ran, but Luffy is like running towards. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I don't know. I feel sorry for I gotta see what Dory and Brogy do here. Because I mean, like, it's cool that they cut the head off of a Gorosei member here. And I've always said that they are top tiers that were underestimated, just because it's early One Piece and all that stuff. But the characters from the first 5 years of the story, they're gonna come back and they're gonna be top tiers, and people are, they're not gonna be able to wrap their heads around the power scaling of all of it. Oh, but Mr. 3, like, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. Like, Oda always intended these characters to be top tiers. So they're coming back and they're going to be top tiers. Does that mean that they're going to actually do anything to the Gorosei? I don't know. But they've got 2 other fodder dudes with them that are definitely going to die. Or, like, they're going to be the ones that Oda's going to use as the, the red shirts here. Brandon said Blackbeard versus Jupiter, Tremors versus Tremors. Blackbeard is a human thumper. We love the spice. Gotta have it. I gotta have the spice. I need more, baby. Yeah. Hyken said the sunrise with Moria. Yep, one of the best time limits in the series was the sun. And I mean, just so many thematic layers of the end of Thriller Bark too, which at the time, like, felt so disjointed and out of place. Like, so much of Thriller Bark seemed, like, a lot of people reading weekly didn't get it, didn't vibe with it, didn't gel. And it's like, you go back to Thriller Bark and you realize, like, this is exactly like everything that Oda wants this story to be in the first place.
Savage.
Let's see. Sanjab supered and said, hard to quantify, but this may be the most unpredictable ending to an arc. Straw Hats, Luffy's planets facing off of Emu's planets, Oda laughing in the kitchen. It is unpredictable, and that's the best part. Like, I even said it when I think when we were talking about 1109, I was like, if anybody said at some point that all of the Gorosei were going to show up to Egghead, like, and they legitimately meant it and weren't just saying something like crazy to be crazy, I wouldn't believe you, because that is one of the most unexpected things to happen in the series to begin with. And I know that no one in the entire world guessed that Jupiter would be a sandworm from Dune. No, you can't tell me someone got that. But that's what I love. That's the best part of all of this. But I think this arc, I still will stand by it, that it needs to end like the Archipelago. They're not ready for these 5. They need to learn more about what, like, the power that they're using so that they can combat them. Shout out to 00 Flevens for the super, appreciate you. Said Saint Ethan Baron Venus Juro. You think a mere man can kill a god? Zoro, I don't believe in God. Cuts him down. No Church in the Wild. MP3 starts playing / end fanfiction. What's a Gorosei to a non-believer? Right? But it's like it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, if through all of this we start getting explanations for the you know, certain activities of the Straw Hats, like turning into Ashura. Is that calling from, you know, this magic power or something that, you know, the Gorosei use? Is Diable Jambé and Ifrit Jambé, right? Especially Ifrit, because that's a demon in itself. Like, is that calling upon something there? Robin saying, "Oh, well, I might as well lean into the demon child of, you know, of me." You know, everybody like leaning into like this, you know, this demon energy, this, you know, monster energy, just Brooke in general. Like there's a lot of elements to this. Emil said, "Any thoughts on Vegapunk instant coffee?" Yeah, I'm down to try it. I mean, let's start replacing all the Starbucks with Vegapunks. But I mean the real point of the coffee anyway, like it's just bathos. It's like all of this like crazy serious stuff is going on, but in the background you're hearing Vegapunk talking about coffee. Like it's the way of it's Oda trying to like undercut the tension of everything in the story, so that they're like, while, you know, this demon horse is cutting down all of these pacifistas, you're kind of chuckling or smiling because Vegapunk's got a Verissimo ad going in the background. Old Green Knees super and said, "Captain, I think the Straw Hats, besides Luffy, possibly can't help fight the Gorosei. Am I wrong? They just seem underleveled." That's how I feel too. That's why I'm hoping that Elbaf ends up being like some sort of training arc. I really want like the Straw Hats to, you know, figure out how to use hockey and stuff, and like really turn into the top tiers that they are supposed to be. Like, even if we just jump a couple weeks, mini time skip, and it's just like, hey, I know armament now. I've got observation. I also know how to channel my summoning circle. Like, you know, like that's the thing. Like, imagine Zoro is able to, you know, like, I mean, this is all wacky fan fiction or whatever, but, you know, it's like he's able to create a summoning circle, and like out of it, like Ashura appears and like fights with him or something. I don't know, but I really feel like that power should not be reserved for only these 5 individuals. Like, there have to be other people out there that can do this. I expect Shanks, Mihawk, you know, all the top tiers in the world to be able to like pull this out, whether it looks the same or different, because it's like for the evil that they are, there has to be a light and a good version of these circles as well. And maybe that's something that, you know, is, you know, maybe that's why the government stays away from Elbaf, because they know how to do these good circles or something. Imagine Dory and Brokey come in and they start like doing alchemy and stuff. I could see it. I could see it. Sanj Saab supered and said, with all magic piece, I'm thinking back on the Reaper scene in Wano. I think Oda's cooking something real deep with spirits, demons, hell, and magic. I'm right with you. Like, it's all leading up to that. I mean, that's the rabbit hole that I've been going down, is magic piece. And there's so many elements of it.
Savage.
Cursed swords to begin with. You know, the transformation into Hakuba from Cavendish. Like, it has to be rooted in all of this stuff. Anything that we can't explain is this. It's this. Like, so much is able to be explained when you just take all of this into consideration. So, yeah. A little bit of chair piece. And we'll be right back. Sorry about that, gang. We are back. We're back.
Savage.
Shout out to Old Green Knees. Super chatted and said, the first enemy this arc was York. Then the Seraphim. Then CP0. Then an Admiral. Buster Call. Then all of the Gorosei. And I'm still hoping that all of those enemies come back in the climax in some way. York has definitely faded into the background, and don't know what's going to happen there. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think it would actually be pretty interesting if York just randomly appeared in front of all the Gorosei and was like, "Please make me a celestial dragon," and then like one of them just instantly one-hit KO kills York. Like I could see that happening, and it would be totally fitting and okay. Like I'm on board with that. Yeah. I feel like that's gonna happen. It's gonna be like this like big tense moment, and then she's just gonna appear out of nowhere, and then the tension's gonna get undercut with her death. But it could be a tool and a device where she comes in, and that like split second moment is enough for someone to either get away or it's some sort of a distraction that ends up working in the benefit of everybody else. Would the others be able to function without York? Asked Barry. That's a good question. I mean, I think it would be I think it would be, like a blind spot on Vegapunk's part, for as smart as he is, to not give everybody the ability to go to the bathroom, but rather was able to like shut that function down and then funnel it through York. I mean, you know, this is all wacky. Like, I'm trying to make sense of something that does not make sense. But I feel like if York died, they would just flip a switch or something in them, and it's just like, oh, whoa, oh, something weird's happening. I've got to go to the bathroom. Like, I don't know. Like, that's I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Or none of the Vegapunks get off the island. There's a possibility for that as well. Except maybe Lilith. Or Lilith just says, I've been able to go to the bathroom the entire time. Look at us. There's a lot of bathroom talk. Jin said, Miss Golden Week used color circles. Yeah, the idea of magic has been there a long time. Even Django was probably the first iteration of any sort of magic in the series. His hypnotism, right? Could that be the earliest case of it? I mean, I guess technically, like, if hockey is like magic or whatever, then it would still be Shanks with the Lord of the Coast. But something different outside of that would be Django for sure. Especially considering that, like, Django's hypnotism works on Luffy. The paint works on Luffy. So it's kind of like this Superman thing where it's like Superman can only be hurt by kryptonite and magic. So here is, you know, this Superman of this world or whatever, this god, and now, like, the magic works against him. BeatGamer99 said, I really hope that Gear 5 is a power source and Edison and Lilith invent new gadgets for the whole crew. This is powered by Gear 5, so Luffy could buff his crew passively. So I like that, and I've talked about a similar angle of that, basically where I've talked about that from a similar angle when thinking about the Thematic box and the pills that Hody got, right? Like, why would there be pills that would essentially give you the power of Gear 5? Essentially. Like, that's what that says to me. So to me, I think in the Void history, they had some way to transfer the Nika power as a buff to people. So whatever they would create would be something similar to the pills from Fishman Island. And then we would get, you know, white-haired, red-eyed versions of all the Straw Hats. And they would be powered up. But they would have to figure out a way to do it without the side effect of becoming old from abusing the power. That's the only thing. And I think that side effect, and that was part of the theory also, was why they lost. Because Nika was giving his power to all of these people, and then they all maybe turned old during the battle, you know, or the power, you know, drained them because they didn't have the rubberized quality of Nika, so their body couldn't handle all of the, you know, the extra processes in their body, so it, you know, advanced their age dramatically. And then that's how the, you know, Gorosei, Emu, you know, all that kind of stuff, how they got the upper hand back then. But there's also a thing where it's like it's all belief based too. So it may be a thing where it's like you know, maybe that is the explanation. I saw B Gamer also said, like, imagine a Gear 5 powered climate act. But it's like, what if the climate act is already kind of the basis within Gear 5 to begin with? It's like, how did Usopp even do any of this sorcery? How did he put all of that in there unless he magically believed that he could do it? And then because he believed and he put his imagination into the item, like, that's what made the climate act in the first place. So if Nami starts like opening, you know, if everybody opens their metaphorical third eye to this idea that their beliefs and imagination can essentially create anything, then they would at that point be unstoppable. Les says, is Brooks lullaby magic? I feel like he was doing that when he was still alive. Potentially. Yeah. It also, like, he still had his fruit, though. So it could be something where, like, he was tapping into the latent abilities of the fruit prior to even dying in the first place. So, like, he had no idea how to even use his fruit until he died. And matter of fact, he spent 50 years
Savage.
hanging around, moping around, and it wasn't until some people came around, the Straw Hats, gave him the will to live, and then a belief to, you know, get to the end that he even wanted to become stronger, and then started learning other abilities that he has. Brandon said Luffy gives Nami Gear 5, and with Zeus and her climate act, he recreates Goku riding on the Nimbus with the power pole in Super Saiyan. Yeah, I mean, when with all of the Zeus stuff and everything, the climate act, like there's been a lot of you know, Dragon Ball things there, and I'm on board for all of that. Chin is shipping Magellan and York because they both have a particular commonality. I like that. That's a good ship. Old Green Knees Superden said, theorized Luffy would pivot from escaping and instead defending Egghead at the cost of being captured. He told Fuji he was tired of running post time skip. I mean, I'm down. You know, I've been preaching Luffy gets captured for years now. Like, I want all of the people to rise up and save Luffy. Like, everybody was like, oh, Sabo is going to be the post time skip Luffy. Oh, this person's going to be the post time skip. Ace is going to be the post time skip Ace. You know, Hancock's going to be the post time skip Ace. Vivi's going to be the post time skip Ace. This one, that one, whatever. Somebody's going to be the post time skip Ace. And they're going to be on the chopping block. And it's like, what if Luffy is the post time skip Ace? Like, let him be on the chopping block, and then everybody comes to save him, and then he frees himself, and then you actually, like, you get more story out of that. But you get the crew without their captain, which creates so much drama. And, you know, in the same way that we were without the crew for 2 years real time. I don't want it to be 2 years real time again, but it's like, let's have a series of chapters that feel like Amazon Lily Impel Down Marineford, where all we had was Luffy. But let's have a series of those chapters where it's like all we have is the crew and we don't have Luffy. And that's the inversion. And that's something that it will never not be interesting to me, whether it isn't interesting to other people. It's interesting to me. So that's why I mention it. 0011 said, black was the color of betrayal. Black circles for the Gorosei. Possible betrayal of Joy Boy by Gorosei in the past. Former crewmates by Imu. I mean, there's a lot there, and there was something when I was looking up some of the yokai. One of the things I was seeing, it might have been the Itsumade, I can't remember, implied that one of them could be like one of them could betray. I gotta remember. I gotta go back and look at all this stuff again. I didn't have enough time to see everything, and some of this stuff like was really hard to find anything at all. Or was it the Was it the Feng Shi? Mercury. Because I actually found something on that. Look this up again. All right. The Feng Shi, also known as Hoki, is a boar-like monster in Chinese mythology, said to have 2 heads, and lives in Morris forest. Oh no, I remember what I wanted to talk about with this, because this was actually interesting. So very brutal, terrorizes the countryside, right? Which is reminiscent of the giant boar in the Odin flashback, right? So brutal, terrorized the countryside, but destroyed a lot of villages and their farming lands, while killed many people, which angered the Emperor Yao, who sent the great archer to get it hunted in a Morris forest. So there's another archer thing. So it's not really. I mean, Usopp could fight Mercury too. I don't know. But anyway, this is the important part. Feng Shi is the ancient Chinese rain deity, the rain god. Mercury is the rain god. Feng Shi is the ancient Chinese rain deity. According to records of the Grand Historian, when Feng Shi appears, there will be rain soon. Also, according to something else, Feng Shi also stands for mating in ancient China. So Feng Shi might also be the ancient fertility deity. So in the same vein that, like, Ethan is running around freezing all of these, like, pacifistas and everything, I think what we might see is, as Mercury, you know, if we see Mercury go on the defensive, he may be able to tap into something water related, being the deity of rain. So that's my prediction as far as, like, what we can talk about there. Have people talked about that yet? Am I late to that, or is that new information to anybody? Barry Motivated said, "You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling." Inception, 2010. The Will of Dreams said, "The bathroom buddies York and Magellan hold hands on twin toilets." Let's see. Just catching up on the chat here, guys. Beat Gamer, do we think the Gorosei has or had a traitor, as they were fully introduced in the same arc as the satellites? Maybe someone tried to portray them in the past and was already taken care of. So I think if we were ever going to see any sort of traitor action from the Gorosei, it's the idea that all of them fear Emu so much, right? That if they ever started to believe that someone, Luffy, right, could defeat Emu, then that would be like the final push of energy, you know, like if it is like a spirit bomb, like faith kind of thing, then I could see, like, they give their energy into Luffy and it helps them get like the final hit or something.
From this day forth, you put your faith in me.
Let's see. Volkazard said when I was talking about the crew being without Luffy, and then Usopp can now be the voice of reason, keeping everybody together after learning from Water 7. That'd be fun. I'd like that. Beat Gamer thinks that Sanji's going to clash with Ethan. I don't know about that. It'd be interesting, though. But the thing is that if Sanji goes up against Ethan, like, he's definitely getting washed, and I don't know if I need the community to have that. He said, and we'll see Zoro versus Mars as an inversion for future matchups. I mean, that could be interesting, but they would both have to get, like, put in the ground. The only thing that I could see from that is, like, if Oda really wants Zoro to hold true to I will never lose again, then that works, because it's like Mars clearly isn't a swordsman, so him getting put in the ground by someone who's not a swordsman doesn't actually trample on that, like, the fine print of I will never lose again, which I feel is like I will never lose again to a swordsman, right? Because Zoro has lost before, but, you know, it's like he lost to, you know, like a Nell, who's not a swordsman. So it doesn't, you know, it doesn't trample on that. If he lost to Ethan, then it would be, you know, you have to walk back a couple of things that he said. You know, he got beaten by Lucci also when they first fought in Galley La. So now he's actually, you know, made up for that. So that's kind of interesting. Does that mean that Enel's going to come back and Zoro's going to get, like, a hit on Enel? Then literally, like, Zoro will have beaten, like, everybody that he lost to. Oh, that's interesting. That might happen. Valkyrie will do a surf attack. Prophet said, the Itsumari appears over restless souls. Germa's symbol is a bird, and Judge describes the Germa as a resentful ghost. Sanji versus Mars. I've been saying Sanji versus Mars for a very long time. And especially when I learned their names. Because it's the order of the sun. So it's like, if Zoro is going to go up against Venus, and there is no Earth, then Sanji has to go up against Mars. Brandon said, wait, there will be rain soon? The rain fell in Alabasta. VV stocks rising. VV stocks haven't dipped. They have yet to dip. Tug, I saw that too, about Jupiter being responsible for amber lead and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Gorosei are responsible for, like, all sorts of diseases in the world. Brandon King said, Randy, thoughts on this idea? Blackbeard is the direct descendant of Joy Boy, because what do suns eventually do but collapse into black holes? Joy Boy's legacy of freedom goes unchecked. I like that because it's basically setting up Blackbeard as, you know, the actual chosen one. you know, and then it kind of you know, it gives the same energy as like Luffy and Kaido, you know, who's the real Joy Boy, but it also makes Ace versus Blackbeard even better, because like Roger thought that his son would be the one to like rise up and probably be the new Joy Boy and everything, and I think that that's, you know, we'll be able to look at the series from that lens too, where it's like Ace dying is what like kicks off Luffy to actually like becoming the next Joy Boy, but Blackbeard just, he's moving through life feeling like everything is fated and that he's destined for all of this stuff because of something like that. That would be cool. Nell versus Zoro next chapter. No, I think the next chapter is going to be like really like the opposite of this chapter. So this chapter is about setting up all of the evil. So the next chapter, being an angel number, needs to be setting up all of the good. So it's an explanation of Nika. Luffy learning from probably Dory and Brogy like what his fruit actually is and who he is. Luffy won't care, but that information will at least get out. Or the Gorosei tell him. And Luffy again doesn't care. Or somebody else comes to their aid. You know, there's a lot of different ways to interpret 1111, which I'll go into more in the analysis, I think. You know, and have like, you know, more firm predictions. Zoro and Ethan could clash in 1111 because it's his birthday, but the other thing too here is like we just got this tremendous Zoro moment, and I think that we could get nothing for Zoro in the next chapter. We could get nothing, and then it would be that technically like this chapter was Oda like trying to do that. Like he gave Zoro something like close enough to his birthday, and then focuses more on the spirituality of what those numbers mean rather than the arbitrary thing that he gave Zoro for. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't still happen. It can. Both can happen. We'll see, right? Do we have a break? We shouldn't, right? There's no break, right? World Boss PF1 said, who is fighting Mercury then? So I feel like Mercury is the character that needs to get fought by someone who's not a Straw Hat. Because in my mind, if I had to power scale the Gorosei, Mercury would be the strongest because he's the closest to the sun. He's the first planet. And then you have... So it's like, it's either Luffy is going up against him, but he's already started a fight with Saturn. So it's like, does it switch? And then Luffy actually does start fighting Mercury. I mean, that could happen. Or it's a thing where someone else comes in, like Shanks or whatever, and then pulls an Odin and like chops Mercury in half, and it's a character like we never really have to deal with. Dory and Brogy could fight him too. But I'd rather I don't know. I feel like with the tie to the boar and Wano, if Oda went as far as like doing a recreation of what happened in Little Garden with the Brontosaurus, then it's like somebody needs to cut Mercury in half like Odin did with the boar. So it needs to be a swordsman, and it's probably needs to be someone that is like tied to Odin. So at that rate, it's like, who's tied to Odin that could do that? Shanks. Yeah, I don't know. What do I think Emu's transformation is? Ask Sword Egg. I don't know. Just turns into a giant fly, right? Another sci-fi thing. I mean, after like this Dune reference, like, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be anything, which is awesome. No break, copy. All right. Jupiter's Arrakis. That's what it is. Yeah, it's the biggest planet. It's also Arrakis. It's got access to the spice. Spice of life. Spice is life.
Yeah, it's a comic twist. It's a good, relevant, and important twist, and cultural and.
And all right, let's take a look back at this chapter. Pop this chat out real quick. Double F11 said, Yamato, since Mercury is the god of justice, there's no greater injustice than taking freedom away. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But we got to see what Oda's plan for Yamato is anyway. And I'm not really going to hold my breath on that one. I don't know. Oda's got to make me like Yamato more. He was too flip-floppy with the character's motivations. You know, there's so much stuff with these folklore and everything with archers, and then you have that giant at the the beginning of the chapter that has the the bow and arrow that blows up one of the ships. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy, like, randomly got involved in all of this and, maybe shot Mars out of the sky or something, and then it's like we never have to deal with this, like, bow and arrow thing. But it also, the bow and arrow works for Mercury, too. And then, I don't know, like, some of these giants need to die, though, like, to, like, really show the power of these guys. I could even see it being this one that's helping out Frankie Bonnie and all that. Like, if instead of getting up top and, like, meeting up with Brooke, Venus ends up pulling up to Atlas, Bonnie, Frankie, and Kuma, right? And then Zoro shows up to save Bonnie from the highest authority in the world, which which I would like more, because I've been waiting for the moment where Zoro saves Bonnie to call back to the archipelago. So forget that. I think that's what that could happen next chapter. He's like going around, he finds the real Kuma, he finds Bonnie, Ethan is ready to kill them, and Zoro appears. Ronnie said, "Why all the Yama hate?" I don't hate Yamato. I don't think that Oda planned the character, and I don't think that he executed the character well within the time frame that he like forced the character into the story, and then eliminated the character from the story to get back to whatever original plan he had. So we got to see. And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Yamato ends up like actually joining the crew, and it plays a role in, you know, the end game of everything. Who knows? I mean, they're going to be plot relevant at some point, because Blackbeard is about to learn where Pluton is, and he's going to have to go to Wano. So Yamato is going to have to fight against, at the very least, Augur, and whoever shows up with Augur to get Pluton, which I imagine would be Pizarro, because Pizarro could, like I said, could turn into Wano to find out exactly where Pluton is. Let's see. It's interesting that Jupiter, when the mouth is closed, looks like it has Luffy's scar on like his face. Brandon said, "We need the matchup of the century, the Centaur Venus versus Frankie Centaur." I would love if that actually happens before Zoro shows up. Like, that'd be great. Then it would be like Frankie has fought 2 Gorosei. Like, please gas up, my boy. Please. Please. It's just so crazy. Like, this spread is so wild. I'm just looking at it again. Like, all of them. Like, that's insane. But like the showing from Ethan in this chapter, like this chapter, like he was the MVP of this chapter, and Oda like went in on all of this. I'm really interested in what Oda has planned for Mars, because it's like he goes up into the sky. Sanji implies that Usopp and all of them need to watch out because like Mars is coming towards them. And then he flies into the barrier, which of course isn't going to kill him. So he's probably on the other side of the barrier now. So that means that actually the Gorosei member that Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Brook, and Lilith need to worry about is Mars. So Usopp could, you know, try to shoot Mars, I guess. Marking Mars. Maybe Mars is responsible for damaging the Sunny. Like, that'd be wild. Zoro stuff was all great. The end was awesome too. It's just peak on peak on peak, everybody. Can the Gorosei swim? Well, considering that they haven't eaten devil fruits that curse them from the sea or anything, I imagine that they would probably actually be able to swim, yeah. B-Gamer said, we have a huge problem. The lava phase barrier needs to come down to let the Sunny and Nami's group escape, but it needs to stay up to protect Vegapunk's message. Yeah, so that's going to be like one of the big things and one of the reasons why the Sunny might also actually get damaged. And it's going to come down to, do we continue fighting a losing battle and let the message get out, or do we stop the message ourselves because we're fighting a losing battle? It's actually a really great, it's just great stakes. It's what I always want from the story, is more stakes. Hey, baby Pluto. Brandon said, fun fact, Randy, this is the first full-page double spread with no extra panels since Dressrosa. Oda really cooking a 5-star meal. Is that a fact? That every time we've had a double-page spread, Oda has tried to incorporate other things into the panels? That can't be right. I mean, I will say that this chapter had a really like nostalgic element to it in the way that the double page spreads were done, and even like the panel of, you know, taking up almost the full page of Ethan attacking the first pacifista. You know, we used to get stuff like this all the time, which is what created the iconic imagery of the series. So if that's been missing for a long time, then, you know, that would explain a lot.
You loyal.
Shout out to Carmelo Smith, member for 11 months, who said, 1047, page 10, we have a double page spread. I'm looking at 1047, and if you're talking about when Luffy's fist comes out of the sky, it's still cut off with some dialogue and some close-ups into Luffy on the second half of the page. So what Brandon is saying is that it's the first time in a long time where Oda actually took both pages to only show us one image. And so that one isn't actually an example, but I'd love to see more examples. Adamus said the leopard attack wasn't the last time he used that in his lobby. Did he actually use that attack? Is that an attack that he has used before? I thought it was a new one.
I know of a couple cultures where people said that there's something.
Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
Whoops. I moved over to look at the thing, and I accidentally hit the credits button, and then moved over to the other scene, which activated a whole bunch of buttons on the board there. And then I couldn't turn them off soon enough, so everybody got blasted there. We will be ending the stream soon, but it's not time for the credits just yet. The eardrums of liberation have been blown. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I pushed the golden Dendem Mushi by mistake. I went to like go and look at the Lucci page, and that's what happened. It's a variation of finger pistol spots. So I mean, are we saying that what Zoro did was something in Eni's lobby, or what Lucci did? Because I can buy that what Lucci did was a version of something that he did in Eni's lobby. Adamus said the leopard attack was introduced in Eni's lobby, I believe, at the Frankie House fight. It's featured in every One Piece Pirate Warriors game. Huh. Cap being the last beef standing, and that was glorious. The funny thing is like that one is such a long one, right? You know, like I usually do that when I'm like doing chair piece, but I couldn't find the button to like cut him off soon enough, so it actually just played out the entire, you know, like I don't know, 30 something 40 seconds of Cap talking about patience. Which I guess is also fitting. I don't know. Yeah. Like, that's what happens every time I open OBS. But it's like, I always start the stream after it's already done doing what it's doing.
Together we're stronger.
Shout out to 00 Flevens.
Together we're stronger.
For letting everybody know that we are stronger together. 5 gift subs. Gift memberships. Andy Dalliff, Leonardo Martins, Nasty Ninja 808, G Milla, and Levy Peter all have access to emojis now. Barry said, so when you're telling us it's almost time, you're waiting for them to all play out? Probably. Yeah. Appreciate that, double affluence. Yep. Yeah. Did anybody find anything interesting about the Bakotso? Because it's like, let's see. I know all about the Gyuki. I feel like I've learned enough about the Itsumade now. The Fangshi, or the Hoki, you know, I mean, the most interesting thing is that they're the rain god. The Bakotso, I couldn't really find a lot about other than it just being the remnants of a horse that burned or something. I want to know, like, where the lore came from and examples of it so I can figure out, like, what's going to actually happen between Zoro and this dude. And then the sandworm is just Dune. So... And while I do know spoilers for, like, after what happens in Dune 2 that I wish I didn't know, I don't necessarily want to draw into that for comparisons, because I also don't want to spoil people on the Dune property. But it is very interesting, just the way that it is, you know, presented. Chin says it's the Japan Ghost Rider. Baby Pluto Ann said, we need Randy's ranks TM pending. Randy's ranks. Yeah, that's good. For the Gorosei from best to worst, for me it's Najuro, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and lastly St. Peter. So for me, it's transformations excluded. It's Mars at the top, just because, like, that's an element of my name, which I gave to my son. And then, but design-wise, like, transformation-wise, it's... I mean, Ethan is the scariest and maybe the most interesting. The craziest, most left field one is the sandworm, and I can't put that at the bottom just because of Dune. I have to, like, I actually can't decide whether I like Jupiter or Mars more for their transformations. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's like Ethan is S tier. Mars and Jupiter are also like S tier or S minus, and then Saturn and Mercury are like B tier. Like, their designs are just like, hey, big monster creature, like, here's this, you know, spider ox, and here's a, you know, crazy warthog bull, right? Hakuna Matata, everybody. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. I don't know, like, the other ones are more interesting. That's where it is. And then, like, just the Dune elements, I can't stop. Lisan out. Gaib. Emil Diaz said, check out the Mongolian deathworm, a known cryptid. Mongolian deathworm is a creature alleged to exist in the Gobi Desert. Investigations into the legendary creature have been pursued by amateur cryptozoologists and credited academics alike, but there has been little evidence found to support its existence. It can be considered a cryptid, or mythological animal. It is shaped like a sausage, about 2 feet long, has no head nor leg, and it is so poisonous that merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert. The worm is commonly cited as the inspiration for the Tremors film franchise. Okay. I think it's better to look actually at the sandworm, you know, like Wikipedia for Dune and stuff. You know, sandworms are colossal worm-like creatures that live on the desert planet Arrakis. Their larvae produce a drug called melange, known colloquially as the spice, the most essential and valuable commodity in the universe because it makes safe and accurate interstellar travel possible. What is Jupiter's thing? He's Ethan's the god of finance, right? And then he is the god of wood? Or I know one of them is like wood and then agriculture. Okay. Okay. All right, yeah. He's farming. He's farming. He's out here farming. He's farming the spice. He's farming the spice. Okay. There you go. It was there all along. He took out the pacifistas because he's protecting assets. It also appears like he didn't actually like destroy them either. He just like cooled their internal processes down. Protecting assets. The sandworms are reverently called Shai-Hulud by the planet's indigenous Fremen, who worship them as agents of God, whose actions are a form of divine intervention. There's so many layers here to having one of the Gorosei, a highest authority, a celestial dragon, a god of this world, is literally a Shai-Hulud. Yeah. And I'm looking at a really early illustration of a sandworm from Dune from 1965, and the mouth opens up not quite like the way that the movies depicted it, but actually like this image is, with more like flaps. Yeah. Sandworms are attracted to the rhythmic vibrations in the sand. Drums of liberation. That's a type of rhythm. To escape the notice of the sandworms, a traveler in the desert must learn to walk without rhythm. It's to not attract the worm. It's the weapon of choice. In a manner that simulates the natural sounds of the desert. But what has the government been doing for 900 years? Teaching the world to walk without rhythm. No joy, boy. No dancing. Dancing's illegal. No Nika. No rhythm. Get out of here with that. Mm-hmm. I think it would be really interesting, now that I'm thinking about this, right? If Jupiter hits like Luffy with like a mist or something, right? And then he starts having visions of the future. He literally gets hit with spice. Yeah. Ethan quite literally froze his assets. That's crazy, Beat Gamer. That's crazy. I might have to use that in the analysis. Literally, this finance man literally froze his assets. I still feel like we still haven't found stuff on the Bakotsu, though. Not enough. Emil said Google Mari Lude. Let's see. Why would we believe that Jupiter died when we saw Saturn regenerate? They all have to be able to regenerate. Okay. Okay, this is something. The Mari Lude. I hope I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is a wassailing folk custom found in South Wales. The tradition entails the use of an eponymous hobby horse, which is made from a horse's skull mounted on a pole and carried by an individual hidden under a sheet. Custom was first recorded in 1800. I mean, there's definitely like a visual representation here that looks similar. But it's supposed to be a reference to the Virgin Mary, which is a little weird. I don't know if that's what Oda's really going for here with Ethan. This is interesting, but I don't know if Oda's actually going to draw from this. It's like when you look up Bakotsu, you just get a lot of stuff from Inuyasha. Like I'm literally just like moving through Google and I'm not finding anything, which is really disappointing. All right, let's see. Here's something that someone, a Dear Ruckus, put on Worst Gen that came up on Google. I'm like reading through whatever this person put together here. No, this is exactly the same. This is the same thing here that I've just been seeing. Of like nothing more than it's just the shape of a horse that was burned to death in a fire. I want to know more. There's always a story with these things. But this guy also thinks that Mars is Sanji's fight. So good on them. Double O Flevent supered and said, look up St. Peter's Cathedral and the Diet of Worms. Are they two different things, or is there something about the Vatican and worms that I don't know about and need to learn? What about the cathedral should I be looking for here? Because it's like I am familiar with the cathedral. I just don't know what element of it actually references Jupiter here, or any symbol. Barry said, Ethan is also giving huge Four Horsemen vibes, but it makes less sense when he's the only one that looks like that. That's what Chrissy said when she saw it. She was like, this is giving me Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse vibes. But Double O Flood said, I looked up the cathedral, which is located in Worms, Germany. I was thinking of the one in Vatican. And it took me looking into the Diet of Worms. I saw a comment before mentioning worms in Christianity. I haven't dived deep into it yet, but it sparks some interest right now. Well, that's interesting. Moro said, but there are 5. Yes, that is how we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elders. Let's see here. Did I see the numbers on the circles? I know when Saturn appeared, there was a 5 in there. Did we actually see other numbers on the circles here when they appeared? Let's see. Zooming in now. Not seeing a number there. Not seeing a number there. The big spread? No. Was it there last week? The different numbers are on the different circles. 4 is the easiest one to see. The only circle we didn't see was Jupiter. Emil said, then how about the pale horse from the apocalypse? Yup. These are all things that Oda could draw from, but it's also something where it's like, there's some yokai book out there, you know, in some sort of Japanese library that hasn't been translated into like a Wikipedia page or something that absolutely details things that Ethan's going to do, and I don't know what it is. Do I have any indie film recommendations? I probably have a ton. But it, you know, depends on your own particular preferences and stuff. Let's see. Which panel are we seeing the numbers in, guys? Because I mean, I'm looking here on Viz. I'm zooming in on this chapter. Like, was it in 1109? Because I'm looking in here and I'm seeing. Okay, maybe that's a 4. No, I'm seeing a 3 here where I'm seeing both a 4 and a 3 with Itsumade. With Mars here. But the 3 is clearer. Okay, 110, page 3, top right panel. Is the 4 that you're talking about, is it upside down, Beat Gamer? Because I could see something that could be interpreted as an upside down 4. But then when I look at this thing where where Mars is like approaching, I actually see a 3. I also see something that could be a 4, but the 3 is way clearer. Yeah. It's interesting, and you know, the anime will give a little more basis for all of it. Math piece incoming. Yeah. In the writing around the outer edge of the circle when Mars is appearing, there's something that looks like a 4, but it's really like, I don't know, it's really stylized. Whereas like the 3 really looks like a 3, and that's the closest thing down by the border above Sanji's line saying, gotta get in touch with Nami's group. So that's that. I can't see any other numbers though. And I don't know. I don't think that part of it all necessarily matters that much. I think I'm gonna start really winding the stream down here, guys. Let's get these likes up before I bounce. Yeah.
Come with me if you want to live.
We got a this was an extremely monumental moment here. These characters were introduced 20-something years ago. Probably like 22 years ago. We got their names last year. Now we see their true form, which is probably not a devil fruit. And this is exciting. And I think we're going to be able to continue talking about a lot of this stuff and just what all of this means for a while now. And I'm excited to see what happens next week. Angel numbers. We've been waiting for 1111 for a while. Anything can happen. Anything. Human form is fake. This is their true form. Exactly, Chin. Exactly. Am I still looking forward to X-Men 97? Absolutely. Go and save the city. Anyway, Andy Dalif said, whatever 1111 brings, math piece, agenda piece, who cares? It'll be a banger. Yeah. We thought this chapter was great. I think the next one's going to be even better. So it was basic. I think this chapter was a setup for what is actually to come. So there we go. Look out for the analysis. Hopefully we get that out by tomorrow, Tuesday at the latest. If you're not getting notifications, be sure to search for the videos. If you missed the Theory for Theory with Parvision, it was a fun one. We talked a lot about Magic Piece. A lot of the stuff we talked about applies here and applies to further elements beyond this as well. And 11/11 next Sunday. Woo! Woo! Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go, guys. Thanks so much. Like, comment, subscribe if you are feeling the vibe. Woo! Shai Alud. Nika Al-Gaib.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.